బిజినెస్ రిలేటెడ్ మీకు ఒక క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతా, ట్రై టు ఆన్సర్ ఇట్ ఇన్ 3 seconds. ఎవరైనా బిజినెస్ ఎందుకు స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారు? ఓకే, మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద ఆన్సర్స్ని మనం కామన్గా ఫ్యాక్టరింగ్ చేసినట్లయితే 2 reasons ఉంటాయి. ఒకటి బాధ, రెండోది డబ్బు. బాధ అంటే పర్సనల్గా ఎప్పుడైనా ప్యాక్ అయితే అరే దీని రిలేటెడ్ ఏదైనా కంపెనీ పెడితే బాగుంటుందో, వాళ్ళు సొల్యూషన్ క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవడం కోసం స్టార్ట్ చేసింది ఒక బిజినెస్ అయిపోద్ది. దట్స్ హౌ ఓలా అయినా, ఫ్లిప్కార్ట్ అయినా, అమెజాన్ అయినా అలానే వచ్చాయి. రెండోది డబ్బు, అంటే ఎవ్రీవన్ వాంట్స్ మనీ కదా, మనీ సంపాదించడానికి ఒక బిజినెస్ పెడతారు. అండ్ నేను కూడా ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఈ 2 ఆస్పెక్ట్స్లో ఏం బిజినెస్ స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా అనుకున్నప్పుడు 2024లో ఏది వర్కౌట్ అవుతుందో చూసా. అండ్ ఐ రియలైజ్డ్ బ్యూటీ ఇండస్ట్రీ ఉంది కదా, యాజ్ అ హోల్ క్రేజీ మార్కెట్ అని. ఎందుకంటే మార్జిన్స్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి, ఏ బిజినెస్లో అయినా మార్జిన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటే డబ్బులు ఎక్కువ ఉన్నట్టే. సో ఈ బ్యూటీ ఇండస్ట్రీలో కంపెనీ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే ఈజీగా వర్కౌట్ అవుద్ది, ఎలాగో రాకెట్ సైన్స్ కూడా కాదు అనుకున్నప్పుడు ఐ స్టార్టెడ్ రీసెర్చింగ్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఒక బ్యూటీ ఇండస్ట్రీలో ప్రొడక్ట్ లాంచ్ చేద్దాం అనుకున్నాం, మేకప్ అయినా, ఇట్ కెన్ బి లిప్స్టిక్, ఫేస్ క్రీమ్, మాయిశ్చరైజర్, ఏం వర్కౌట్ అవుద్దో అనేసి. అట్ దట్ టైమ్ ఐ రియలైజ్డ్ బిజినెస్ స్టార్ట్ చేయడం ఒకటే ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదు, ప్రొడక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేయడం ఒకటే ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదు, దాన్ని ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయడం ఈజ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఆస్పెక్ట్. దట్స్ వేర్ ఐ రియలైజ్డ్ ఏంటంటే ఐ హ్యావ్ టు టాక్ టు సమ్వన్ హూ హ్యాస్ డన్ సంథింగ్ ఇన్ దిస్ స్పేస్ అండ్ హ్యాస్ గాట్ గుడ్ రిజల్ట్స్. అప్పుడే ఐ కేమ్ అక్రాస్ దిస్ కంపెనీ కాల్ సాకా ఆర్గానిక్స్. అండ్ దాని యొక్క ఫౌండర్, సాకా ఆర్గానిక్స్ యొక్క ఫౌండర్ శీతలతోటి చేసిన డిస్కషనే దిస్ పాడ్కాస్ట్. అండ్ ఐ పర్సనలీ ఫెల్ దట్ నాకు ఇండస్ట్రీ రిలేటెడ్ డౌట్స్ ఏమున్నాయో దాంతోపాటు మీరే కానీ ఒక కంపెనీ పెట్టినట్టయితే ఒక బ్యూటీ ఇండస్ట్రీలో ఎలాంటి ప్రోడక్ట్ లాంచ్ చేసినా కానీ అసలు ఏ కేటగిరీలో లాంచ్ చేయాలి, కేటగిరీలో లాంచ్ చేసిన తర్వాత వాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ రీసెర్చ్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఎలా అమ్మాలి, పార్ట్నర్షిప్స్ ఎలా, అన్నిటికని పాడ్కాస్ట్లో సొల్యూషన్స్ ఈజీగా దొరుకుతాయి. అండ్ ట్రస్ట్ మీ, దిస్ ఇండస్ట్రీ ఈజ్ వెరీ ఫ్యాసినేటింగ్. నేను ఎందుకు పర్సనల్లీ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ చూపించానంటే రైట్ నో మనందరికీ అవేర్నెస్ బీభత్సంగా వచ్చేసింది. ఓ 20 years బ్యాక్ ఫ్యామిలీ మొత్తం సంతూర్ సోప్ ఒక్కటే వాడేదేమో కానీ రైట్ నో సోప్తో పాటు ఒక ఫేస్ వాష్, మాయిశ్చరైజర్స్, మల్టిపుల్ థింగ్స్ వస్తున్నాయి. అండ్ మెయిల్ గ్రూమింగ్ ఇండస్ట్రీ కూడా చాలా ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది. సో ఈ ఇండస్ట్రీ గురించి మీరు అవేర్గా ఉన్నట్లయితే యూ కెన్ ఈజీలీ మేక్ మోర్ మనీ. అండ్ ఈ పాడ్కాస్ట్ మీకు ఆ ఇన్సైట్స్ ఇస్తుందని భావిస్తూ ద పాడ్కాస్ట్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు స్టార్ట్ ఇన్ 3, 2, 1. So how does your day look like?
I travel a lot, I'm at the factory a lot. It's very different, but if I'm in Hyderabad, then I wake up, just get ready, go to office by around 9:45, 10.
Oh yeah?
The entire day I'm in office, then I try to wrap up by like 6:30 because I go for piano at 7. Then I go to the gym and I come back to office. And I work for some more time and then I head home.
When is the time when you be like, hey, I don't want to work anything, I want to just chill, like do nothing? Like
whenever I want to do that, I do that. Like,
how often do you do that?
Not very often because I also I don't know, like I like what I do, so I don't find enough reason to like do that. But like I do that like on like most Sundays are usually easy for me. So it's a lot of time with family and that kind of stuff, and it's easy. Sundays is usually definitely more free. Okay. I don't go to office on Sundays because no one's there also. Okay. We don't open up office on Sundays, but yeah.
Got it. And so I never really, there are lot of projects in my school that I really took seriously. Okay. But there were a few like in case of you have to make a business case study or something that I used to really take it seriously. Yeah. And I was reading this book, like I read it like a long time back, and I read it again, of Simon Sinek called Start With Why.
Yeah.
And there is this
I love his podcast. I love all his talks. He's so good. I
know, right? And the thing that I really liked about that podcast was there was this concept. I think there was golden circle framework.
Correct.
He talks about why, how, and what. And he tells that the why, if the purpose is very great, if the purpose is nice and if it moves you, you take stuff seriously. So what was your why in the school that what you're doing right now in regards of Saka Organics, it got you till now, like this date, because it's a huge commitment?
Saka really originates from an initiative I started back in school. I went to a school called Rishi Valley. It's a very interesting concept if you've not heard of it. But to cut a long story short, it's they follow the ICSE and ISE curriculum. And when I was in my 11th grade, we basically had an internal assessment, right? Where people had to choose a topic, write about it. I think it was for 20 marks. And typically, because in school we didn't have access to technology or the internet, there were only two ways to do this. One is either you go to the library, you do your research, and then you write like a report on it, or the other is to essentially work on a livelihood project, which was something that most people didn't do, obviously, because it involved a lot more work. I think where I came in over here is I thought, okay, why not do something? Because I'd seen my senior do something like this. A senior of mine was worked on something like this, where she had caught hold of one of the akkas, you know, who sweep the floors in school and stuff. She taught them how to make earrings out of upcycled saris. So these akkas would essentially make a lot of earrings and jewelry, and they would sell outside the school office and, you know, make a little bit of money and all of that. So when I came into the picture, I knew that if I was doing this, then it had to be something that is scalable. It had to be something, it would definitely have to be a change in product, things like that. And the reason I thought about that is at the end of the day, it's a project for 20 marks. And the way they're going to evaluate you is based on whether the business model works or not. So when we stepped in, we realized that though it's a fantastic project which was being done, you know, the whole jewelry thing, we realized that, or I realized that if I was to take this forward, then there needs to be a change in product, because in Rishi Valley, none of the students are allowed to have money. The parents are not allowed in school unless on weekends, and also every parent is only allowed once in 4 months. So it limits your target audience, it limits the number of people who can buy these products, which means it's only teachers or it's parents who visit over weekends. So we realized that, and also typically, right, these are parents of students who are there from 4th to 12th. So for 9 years, you're talking about the same target audience. So that's when I realized that if we were to really scale this, it needs to be a product that people buy over and over again. There needs to be a repeatability factor involved.
Makes sense.
Because with jewelry, if I buy earrings how much ever I like it, there is only a certain amount of jewelry I can buy. Right? More so if you're talking to the same person over and over again, you're selling the same concept to this person, same person over and over again. So that's when I think I was also evaluating a lot of other products that we could teach these akkas so that they could sell. Some I can think of, I think one was cloth sanitary napkins was one idea. The other was handmade soap. I think these are the two I can remember at the top of my head right now. And we went ahead with personal care, more specifically soaps then, because we had a new science teacher who was teaching everyone how to make soap. So we suddenly, all of us knew how to make soap, all of us knew how to make shampoo, all of us knew how to make laundry, detergent and things like that. And I think, you know, how I thought about it then is, okay, like the typical target audience of people who can buy these products are parents and teachers. The kind of parents and teachers that come to Rishi Valley are typically people who have the disposable incomes to spend on a good quality product. Which is why handmade soaps made a lot of sense then, because we were like, even if you were to price it slightly higher, there is enough of an audience to buy it.
Got it.
That's how it started. Again, to cut a very long story short, we taught these akkas how to make it. It was 3 akkas initially. We taught them how to make soap. Soon they also learned how to make tooth powders and uptons and, you know, all of these other things. And we started to sell outside the school office. So every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, these akkas would have a small stall. It's not such a big thing. It's a table with just the products, and they would sell. And it picked up quite well. So weekend over weekend, they would do it. And we, in the sense, me and my friend who was helping in this, we would just do the back end stuff, like, you know, do some basic accounts for them, do like branding, labeling, packaging. We just help them with it. We want active people who are doing it as such. So if I were to phrase it rightly, we were just enablers for these women to do what they were doing. The initiative back then was called Marri Chetu Organics, because Rishi Valley is known for a banyan tree, which is very old. I think it's supposed to be the oldest in Andhra or something like that. So it was called Marri Chetu Organics. Now, I think that was, again, the base of where all of this this started, and during my holidays over the summer, I kind of wanted to do something like this outside. So outside in the sense when I was back home in Hyderabad. So what had happened was there are these organic markets, these farmers markets that my mom would keep going to buy all her organic, like, you know, food and fruits and all of that. One was called Saptaparni in Banjara Hills, and there's one called Lamakan, again in Banjara, quite next to each other. And I remember going with my mom once, and I saw a lot of these, you know, like other people make soap at home and sell like just soap without packaging and all of that. And I'm like, this is so cool. I can do the same thing with what the Akkas are making. So that's what happened. Like over the summer, we made the Akka send us some product. Me and my friend, we just added some labels on it. We started selling at Lamakan and Saptaparni. It started picking up all of that stuff. And again, to cut a very, very long story short, I was done with 12th standard. I was no longer able to work with the Akkas. Luckily, I think the initiative still continues in school. But I think the trigger point that I wanted to do this outside was the kind of impact it had on these Akkas.
True.
I don't want to bring numbers into the picture right now, but they were earning exponentially higher from what the school had paid them.
Wow.
So they were earning close to 4 or 5x additional salary from what they were being paid from this work they were doing for the school.
Nice.
Now, typically, these Akkas come from very large families. They come from families where the husband is most often a drunkard, is not contributing to the family. They most often are the sole breadwinners.
True.
They have very large families, 5 kids, 6 kids. None of them are educated. All of them are out in the field, just trying to do something to get some income for the family. And because of this additional income, these Akkas were able to at least educate the eldest of the families now. And I think you can see that effect now because some of their kids are like now doing very well, now working at like Accenture and like some very big IT software.
It's interesting, no? Because whenever I used to see initially the whole economy, it used to work in a way where everyone used to be dependent on only one income source. But with the kind of channels which got opened right now, with the supply chain, with the omni-channel approach which a lot of brands are using, these workers are also trying to get a lot more gigs along with that. And having something like this, doing a part-time or more like a freelance, I would say, they can grow their income exponentially.
Correct. And I think what really resonated with them was that the products we were working with them, like, you know, bath powder and stuff, or shikakai shampoo, were products that they already knew how to make.
Okay.
So for what is that hobby for you and me, which is say playing a sport or playing an instrument, for them it was going back, making all these powders. So it was not like we forced them into it. It was something that they inherently liked doing, and they were making money out of it.
Got it.
So after that, I was done with school. This was back in 2020. So as soon as I was done with my board exams, I think like 2 days after that was like COVID and lockdown and all of that stuff. But anyways, I was no longer working with them. But I think there was some strain in me that told me that I should do something on those lines.
Okay.
I'm not even talking about product. I'm not talking about people. I knew that there is something that I wanted to build because I was able to do it in school with a very small target audience. I'm talking about Rishi Valley being a school with just, I think, 200 students at max from 4th to 12th. So 200 pairs of parents at max, which I'm talking about. If we were able to make 4-5x exponential income for these Akkas with just 200 TG, I was thinking about it in terms of like leaps of scale outside, because like I'm outside and now I have the whole world to me, right? Again, I think it was COVID. All of us had reality on us. We realized that nobody is working, nothing is working. So that's when, this was also the time I was back in Kakinada. That's where my dad has his factory. I come from a business family, so I've always had that orientation ever since I was a kid. And
so you used to go to factory with your dad like as a kid and like
I would often go. I'd go like, and in fact I'd go to a lot of other factories also. Like he'd taken me to like a couple of chocolate factories and a couple of like a bunch of factories, like you name it, like rice mills and
But as a kid, is it exciting? Like, because you want to go play or...
I don't know. So like as a kid, it was like a very fun tour thing for me where I'd just go and have fun and they'd explain how things work. I remember going to a sugar factory and being so fascinated with the fact that sugarcane is being like spun into like sugar and things like that.
Okay.
I don't know, like I don't remember, but I also don't remember like hating it. Like it was one of those like tours I would go to.
So I think a lot more...
But I think in hindsight, I think it's all added up now that I see it. I think connecting the dots now,
because the idea of you thinking in regards of scale, that would be like, hey, if 200 members this many people would buy it for this many times, what will I can do if I come out of it?
Yeah, it's again like I'm saying, it's that orientation of being around people who were building, organizations or manufacturing and all of that. So again, in my dad's factory, they have about, I think, 300 to 400 workers who work in the factory. It's an auto ancillary unit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the wives don't work. But that being put aside, I realized that there is something I can do there. I have easy access to labor. I have easy access to people who I can replicate something I did back in school over here as well. It was COVID, so we didn't want people to come over and work. So the first couple of months, I would go to the lab. They have a lab in the factory where they would sample their iron pieces and all of that, right? I'd go and I'd like cordoned off this tiny part of that lab for just me, where I'd make soap with the lab assistant.
Whoa.
So every day I'd go and I'd experiment different recipes, different percentages of soap, like different ingredients which would make a soap.
So do you used to YouTube them or else it was just random experiment?
No, some were YouTube, some I would read up. In fact, I remember going back to my science teacher, he would explain, okay, what goes into a soap. It's an acid and a base at a certain percentage and it's called saponification and all of that. And we were looking at different percentages of acids, different percentages of bases, what are the bases you can use. So technically the acid nature in our soap is oil, right? So we were experimenting with like 20 different types of oils, from olive oil to palm olive, we realized which is really bad. So a lot of experimentation of soap, of designs, of sizes happened during the first 3 months of COVID. It was just me and the lab assistant every single day just making soap.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many variations of soap did you have?
So many, like we'd make so many. And she was also very interested, this lab assistant, because she's typically used to like, working on a spectrometer, checking the values of like iron castings. And this was like such a cool thing for her. So that's how it started, to be honest. And then the first phase of lockdown was slowing down, and I was just waiting for Lamakan and Saptaparni to open, because I'd done some stalls for the, the school soaps, and it worked really well. And I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'll put crazy packaging, crazy labeling, because then we just sold a soap as a soap with no packaging, no labeling, and it sold well. So I was thinking about, all of those cool things. And then I think November or like Diwali of that year of 2020 was when things opened up a little bit. Lamakan didn't have any farmers market, but Saptaparni had. So any chance I had, I would go put up a stall there and just sell, basically. Okay. That's how it started. So it started with soap, and then we started also doing hair oils. So my amama's like, oh, we used to make this hair oil with, with like hibiscus and neem leaves, all of that. That also, we've done a lot of experimentation with different oils. How is the smell? How is the texture? Viscosity, all of that. So we started with bath powder, hair oil, lip balm, as well as soap.
Okay, great.
These were the 4 products we started with. At Saptaparni, I think every 2 weeks they would have a stall, a market, we'd go put a stall. What worked in favor is that the kind of people who would come to Saptaparni was the exact target audience I had in mind for Saka. Also then, it was called Saka and Sasa Organics.
Okay, how did the name and
so Saka means herbs and Sasa means spices. And I was very clear since the beginning that I wanted this brand to be a very Indian brand. And Saka and Sasa is Sanskrit words for herbs and spices.
And who designed the whole website, or who did the branding of Saka?
So initially it was my friend who did it on paper. like a watercolor paper, and I just like took a picture and I would like just use it everywhere as like my logo, and like it was that basic. We didn't have a website, we didn't have anything. We had one Instagram page. I don't think we used we used it very well. It was more of an offline thing for me where I'd go sell, and we built an initial client base for Saka.
Okay.
Okay,
so it's more like you got a channel where the audience, I mean, the main people who would come will have the disposable income to buy it.
Yeah.
And
because it's soap, if they like it, after they've used it, the soap is over, they come back to us.
Yeah, got it.
So we'd have a lot of repeat orders initially, where people would order their monthly supply of soap or like oil or like whatever. So that was great. Then we started getting a lot of bulk orders. So, a lot of people were like celebrating very small weddings and events. They would ask us to make some return gifts for them and things like that. So that's when we started like really like
got it.
Yeah, like thinking about scale. Like up till then I was still like, I need to get the product right, I need to do this. So like it was that basic, and that's how it started initially.
And at this point, were you in college?
Yeah, all this while I've been in college. Lucky for me, first 1.5 years was online because of COVID. So I never went to college. It was online college.
So the college was going on, and so after 2 years you were in Delhi?
Yeah. After a year and a half,
So you're in Delhi and you're running Saka at that time through online.
So that was the first 6 months of Saka. That's when it was still called Saka and Sasa. Then I think things opened up, and we do all the Soul Santes. Basically, we were big on events. Anything that looked or smelled like a pop-up or a small gathering, I would have a stall because I would attract people to buy Saka there.
Got it.
Then I think a couple months after that, there was this small community in Jubilee Hills called the Chalet. It was kind of like a co-working space for like-minded people. So I had a small soap making studio inside that space.
That's interesting.
Because all this while I'm still the one making soap with like a lab assistant and like whoever like helpers and stuff. And this was when I moved into this little, it was a very cute balcony space which I made a soap making studio.
Okay.
And I'd go make soap there, do all my Saka work there and all of that. But I think that was one of the first transitions into really scaling, because that's when I had to pay rent and like XYZ, and I'm like, okay, I need like a standard source of income, etc., etc. That's when we started retailing at other places in Hyderabad. So I think back then there was a store called Cavemen Farm Cafe. It's on the KBR Park, literally.
Okay.
So we started retailing there. Like all our soaps and everything was available on their shelves. So like it was like a constant source of income every month.
So when you try to go to those places, is it like you talk to the founder, there is a certain amount that has to be paid, that you pay it and then go over there, or else is there a process?
So the first one, Cavemen, I think they came across us during one of the pop-ups and they asked if we'd like to retail, and I said sure. They work on a margin basis, basically.
Okay, got it. And
on a same margin.
And even in the time of stalls, for example, when you have to sell, was it more like people would come across the stall and they would wait, and you used to explain it to them, or else
it was that basic. Like I never used Instagram. Like I was talking to you, I'm not a social media person at all. So didn't use Instagram.
That's why it's too much offline at the start.
Yeah, like it still is very much offline. I feel
really?
like there's so much we do at Saka that you don't see because we don't put it up online at all.
Why?
Like I was saying, like this morning we had like a massive event. You won't hear about it anywhere. I don't know. Like it's just, I think it's high time like we move Saka away from me, because there's so much of me in Saka, but I'm just very away from social media in general.
And if you have to think, right, if there is someone out there who wants to start a brand, it can be in the space of beauty or lifestyle, like how would they initially try to research about the product? Like you told about how, for example, will it start with a lab assistant, or else who they should contact to at least initially make those formulation happen?
See, I think for me, what had happened is, again, it was COVID. I didn't have access to like meeting people in person. So that's why. And lucky for me, I did have access to a lab where I could do all these things. I think people now, if they are in the beauty space, there are really good formulating agencies in the market who do it for you.
Oh, really?
So you sit, so now at Saka, we no longer, I mean, I don't have any degree. I don't have a science background at all. our entire formulations or the R&D part is outsourced.
Okay.
So we have an agency that we work with in Mumbai that formulates every product that we make at Saka.
Okay, so it's more like you tell your requirement of what that product outcome should be like.
It's not like we tell them, we sit with them, we work with them alongside, we sample out every batch. It's almost a 1-year process for every SKU.
Got it.
You go back and front on like percentages,
Okay.
and then it ends with an FDA approval, which is
Okay.
what we are going for.
Got
But
it. So,
again,
so if there is a thing in my mind that, hey, I want to make a soap for dry-skinned people, so it will be more like I will go to that agency and
I
tell
mean,
them.
if you're thinking about starting a brand, then I would definitely suggest you work with an R&D team or a
Okay.
formulator. But if you're doing it for yourself, then there's
No,
more than enough information.
I mean, I'm talking about if you want to start a brand.
Yeah, then I mean, there are enough people who do that for you.
And if the formulation is done, once you got it right, that hey, this is a formulation that you have to do and move forward, so you would obviously need someone to manufacture it, right?
See, again, this is very debatable. But there are obviously two ways of doing this. One is you manufacture by yourself, and one is you outsource it.
Yeah.
Most people outsource it. Most personal care brands outsource it because your capex decreases.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
True.
We have an entire FDA approved manufacturing unit.
Oh, really?
We have a manufacturing factory, in fact, and our factory team is much larger than our corporate team here.
Oh, how big is your factory? I mean, where is your factory?
My factory is back in Kakinada.
Okay. So-
It's on a half-acre farm,
Okay.
and it's a proper FDA-approved manufacturing factory with all the machinery, all the equipment, everything inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it a conscious decision where you were
Yeah.
like, hey, factory, I
Yeah.
don't want to outsource, but the remaining
100%.
parts we will.
100%. So let me explain how Saka really, came to be. So once that was done, once we started gaining some traction, that's when I was out of chalet because I'm like, okay, I can no longer manufacture soaps myself, plus do marketing, plus do this, plus do that. I can't. And also, this was when I moved to Delhi. So I didn't have the time to kind of do this myself. That's when we moved it back to Kakinada, and it was better we did that because my dad has, like I'm saying, a factory there, so it is easy source of resources to, That's when the lab assistant, which was working with me in my dad's factory back in the lab in COVID, I took her out of the job and I said, you come work with me at Saka.
Wow. For her, must be a very huge celebration, right? She left that.
For her, it was very, so it's very interesting because she's still there and now she's grown with us. She was on a maternity break for 6 months. Now she has a little baby.
Wow.
And she brings the baby to work every day, and she still very much is the heart and soul of the factory.
Wow.
So that's very fun. But yeah, so how it started was then we moved it back. We had a small farmhouse in Kakinada where we used, and nobody was living in the house. So we started using the house as the manufacturing plant technically. So we didn't have FDA, we didn't have any approval. We just do it, and we do it legally, of course, because we had a basic Udyam Aadhar and a manufacturing license and things like that. And the main channels of revenue back then was cafes. So
Okay.
we'd send in like a bunch of cafes across Hyderabad, Sage and New Cafe. And
So were you the one who is making that sale with the cafe? Like you used to go talk to the cafe owner or
yeah,
thing
like it
that?
was like, I mean, I knew people who knew them, or I knew some of them, or my parents knew some of them. So like getting hold of cafe owners in Hyderabad
Yeah.
is not very hard. So it was just a single point conversation, right? We would tell them this is the product we have, we'd like to sell it or like retail at your store, and we would work out the commercials, and every month we'd send the stock and they would sell and all of that stuff. So we started doing that in Hyderabad. Then I moved to Delhi and I'm like, why can't I do this in Delhi? So I started retailing in Delhi in
Okay.
this chain of community cafes called Greener,
Okay.
which was a game changer because we realized that hey, the market's not only in Hyderabad, it's also in Delhi. We started doing that in Bangalore, we started doing that in Goa. So we started offline retail, the entire channel we started across India.
Wow.
So it was Chennai, Bangalore, Goa, Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, where we had a store.
Whoa.
So we done all of this, and that's when a lot of revenue started flowing in because, as you know, you start to retail, you also sell.
Obviously.
Equally.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, it's time for a website.
Until now, you didn't have a website.
No, we didn't have a website.
How did you convince these folks then? Like, I mean,
Just went, took my product, took my soap in like a tiny little basket and just showed them.
oh, how? I mean, at that time, did you have like a sales team?
Nothing, it was just me. This is when I had no teams. This is when I had one lab assistant who became my first employee back in the factory. And it was me. It was just us doing everything.
So typically, you would actually go on Google, search what are the cafes or nearby retail stores are.
See, typically I was also 20 back then. So I knew cafes. I would go with my friends. So I knew the cafe scene in Hyderabad. So that wasn't an issue. Like the research part was never an issue.
Yeah.
So I knew cafes which are like I liked going to. So I'm like, I'll first start retailing here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it was very simple.
so, okay, because we are talking more about the distribution part, right?
Correct.
Because, for example, if a person, let's say some 25-year-old want to start a company in this space, they would contact an agency, get the formulation right.
Correct.
Then they would figure out a manufacturer or else do it themselves. Initially suggested they do contact some manufacturer or a white labeling folks who can probably do it for them. And then comes the distribution where the
Correct.
product is ready and you want to distribute it. So
See, I want to explain this in two phases because the way we do it now is very different from how I started it.
Okay.
So, like I'm saying, it was such a like basic thing. I would literally walk into a cafe and be like, "Hey, can I talk to someone I can retail with over here?"
Okay.
Most often, if like I'm telling you in Hyderabad, like we knew some people and all of that stuff, right? So, like in Hyderabad was never an issue. It either I knew them or someone knew them, whatever. It was a very basic scene here. Bangalore was when it started getting a little tricky because I'm like, there's so many cafes. How do I reach out to any of them? I made a couple of visits to each of these cafes, took a lot of numbers down, took a lot of emails, just kept following up with them, and these things happen. You follow up for 6 months. If they're interested, it'll happen eventually.
Okay.
So that's when we realized we need a website. And I had a friend of mine, we both sat for like a couple of all-nighters. We sat on Wix and we made the entire site ourselves.
Oh.
And at this time, we just took pictures on our phone and we just uploaded it and it was it. And we started also receiving orders there. But the kind of orders we received on the site initially was people who already were buying from Saka. People who were calling me up and ordering them through WhatsApp were people who are now getting redirected to our site.
Okay.
All of that. Then I went to college. All of this is happening on the side. Then we started working with a couple of eco resorts in Coorg.
Okay.
Where we would supply hotel soaps and shampoo and things like that in bulk to them. So we'd supply, I think, about 500 soaps to this one eco resort in Coorg every month.
So is it, and that resort also came to you through, like you went there?
I knew a friend who knew them, so
Okay.
we started off like that.
Okay.
Then I went to college, running all of this by the side. All of this while I understood that, okay, this is a game that is playable because there is a very big target audience for a product like this.
Yeah.
Then very something that was great that happened was in college I had a bunch of mentors at HCL Tech. They were typically the VPs at like HCL Tech for strategy and things like that. So it was very easy for me to really get mentored by the right people to be like, hey, this is great, like whatever you're doing is great, but if you want to scale, this is not the game you should be playing.
Okay.
That's when we realized, okay, we need to come up with a concept for this brand. It's not about handmade soap. Like at this point, it was soap that was being sold.
Okay.
It was soap that was being sold under names of natural, organic, sustainable, plastic free. There were so many things I was just selling it under. And that's when we realized that we need a concept. Lucky for me, right after this, we got chosen for the incubation program at IIM Bangalore, which was also a very big game changer for Saka. By now, we realized that Saka and Sasa and all of this is not going to work. Let us come up with a concept all the way from logo, brand, vision, mission, brand values, what are we doing, why are we doing, what is the plan the next 5 years, all of that stuff. I had a really good mentor at IIM.
Okay.
That really, I think, held me through this whole process.
Who was that mentor?
It's this one lady called Aarti Iyer.
Okay.
She's actually now also on board on Saka, which is also very, very nice. So she was my main mentor at IIM, who really helped me scale the brand and where we are right now. So that's when Saka Organics came to be, because we realized Saka, Sasa, all of this is now working. We need something very quick, something simple, something that's resonating with people. I was very clear that this had to be a Sanskrit name, because I think I've always imagined Saka to be a brand that's very rooted in India. So we came up with Saka Organics.
And what was there, like, because by this time you're studying, there was also this, when you're trying to do a business, right, a lot of stuff you would learn on the process.
Sure, I think for me, more than college was always like a fun and frolic place for me.
Yeah.
Where I really put my foot down and really learned was when I was at IIM Bangalore.
Yeah. What did they teach? How long was the program?
It wasn't a course. It was an incubator for Saka.
Okay.
It was a 7 to 8 months program. It's under their incubation center hub called NSR Cell.
Okay.
So that's when we really conceptualized Saka. So that's when we went back. We did a lot of market research into, okay, this is the personal care segment in India. Where is there a gap?
Okay.
What is that you're solving as a brand? What is the problem you're solving to begin with? Like, sure, you have a solution, which is a soap, but what is the problem you're solving? So I think it took us almost 4 to 6 months of like a lot of like research, a lot of talking to people in the market, a lot of sampling, a lot of just a lot of field work going on in terms of in which direction can we take this brand.
So when in a part of research, so it's more like you would go to a particular place like a Q Mart or some other like Makhan, and you would talk to them?
We did a lot of research in Bangalore. We didn't, and I don't exactly look at Hyderabad as a market as of yet also. We literally, like, it was multiple stakeholders, Anirudh. Honestly, we would go to 100 Feet Road in Indranagar, talk to people on the road, talk to them about what soap they use, what is that they look for in a soap. So one was just people on like 100 Feet Road. The other was we walked into a lot of MT and GT stores like Simply Namdari's or like a Health and Glow or like a Nykaa, to really understand what is that people are buying, what is going on in their head when they're buying something, like what are the kind of questions they're asking, like are they asking, suppose say I'm talking about a face toner, like are they asking about the viscosity or are they asking about the flavor. So we spoke to a lot of the staff on ground at these stores to understand what is that people are inquiring about.
Got it.
That was one thing. One was we also spoke to a lot of people inside these stores to understand what is that they are looking for.
Got it.
The other thing is we would literally just walk on roads and just like figured it out. Like,
wow.
So we did.
And what was that? So you must have had some thoughts in your mind, right? There must have been some biases before you made these questions or before you went and asked. What was something that changed? Was there some insight that these people gave you and be like, hey, I should rebrand Saka in this way, or else I should start this particular product line?
Exactly. So I think where we're taking Saka right now really comes from the fact that we realize that, okay, this is where people need some help, or like not when need help, like this is where there is scope to get in a product. So we realized that a lot of so there were two main realizations. One was the price point of the entire personal care sector.
Okay.
One is, and I'm talking about more so in the more plant-based natural space. Now, if I were to categorize this entire segment or this entire space into 4 categories, it would be mass premium, luxury, and ultra luxury.
Okay.
So if you were to make a basic X and Y axis, graph, your natural will be here, your synthetic will be here, mass will be here, and ultra luxury will be here. So if you're talking about mass towards from synthetic flowing towards natural would be, say, a Goodrich No. 1 soap flowing towards Patanjali, which is the mass market.
Okay.
And that is categorized based on the weight of a soap as opposed to the price. So I'm talking about 100 gram soap bar would be below 35 rupees if you're talking about the mass space. Mass premium would be something like a Himalaya, something like a Mama Earth, so your Biotique, all of that. you can categorize whichever way you want between
Got it.
synthetic to natural. That is about 100 rupees. That, or like not even 100, like about 35 to like 80 bucks.
Got it.
Premium is where your Dove will fall.
Okay.
Technically. So 100 gram soap bar of a Dove would be, I think, a little more than 100. So your Dove or like the Fab India's personal care
Got
range
it.
would
Like
be
Kama
premium.
Ayurveda or...
No. So Kama will be luxury.
Oh.
So premium would ideally be a segment that is between 100 and not 100. Premium would be that 250 rupees segment.
Okay, got it.
That somewhere 250 below kind of a thing, between 120 to 250. Your Fab India range, Plum,
Okay.
Wow skincare. You also have Dove. If you look at premium Bath and Body. All of these are Love, Beauty and Planet.
Okay.
All of these are typically your premium. And then luxury, ultra luxury, I don't want to get into it because that's not the game we're playing. Luxury, ultra luxury would be
Forest Essentials.
Kama, where one piece of soap is beyond 500 rupees.
Okay.
Juicy,
Okay.
Chemistry, all of these brands. So now where we wanted, and this is one analysis of the entire market. The other is between, okay, what is natural, what is synthetic, what is Ayurvedic, what is sustainable, what is natural. Like, there's so many words, right? Who knows
So
what
many.
is what?
It's
What
too
is
complicated.
what? Correct. Now, at the heart of it, I also I think it's a very like upbringing thing, or like it's maybe like the influence of being in Rishi Valley or whatever it is. I've always inclined to something that is more plant-based, that is all of that stuff. So I, from the very beginning, wanted Saka to be a plant-based brand. So, and everything that we were doing is also Ayurvedic by nature, because we are working with plant-based powders, plant-based oil. We were working with like very simple cold-pressed oils and plant-based powders and leaf extracts. It was Ayurvedic. But I'm like, if I were to be that 100th person who's adding to one more Ayurvedic brand, this is not going to help the space.
True.
Because Kama is also talking about Ayurveda. First Essentials is also talking about Ayurveda. Every brand is doing it, and everyone's doing it very well. So I don't think I had the confidence that if I were to sell this product as an Ayurvedic product, I would do better than any of them in the market.
Got it.
So Saka even now is very much Ayurvedic, but we don't sell it at all as that.
Got it.
We realized that the other aspect of this product that we were selling is it was catering to a much older target audience. Every time I said organic soap, somebody like my mom would buy it. Somebody my age would not care. And I was like, if you're working towards plant-based ingredients, which is to essentially help the planet as well as people, then it needs to be a wider cause. It needs to be used by a lot more people, not just by someone above, say, 35, 40. It needs to start from 25. And why is it that someone who's 25 is not using an organic soap?
Yeah,
right?
Because it is also a lot about when you're 25 and you want to have a lot of utility use, right? Like
it's
if
also
you
about hype, no? Like you're 25, you want to use what everybody else is using. Someone's using, say, Bath and Body. I want to use Bath and Body, but there's so much peer pressure involved. There's so many things involved. But at the same time, you also have that pressure of not spending too much.
True.
Which is where that point of utility is.
Yeah,
right?
that's
it's
true.
a fine balance of both.
And also, I feel a lot of brands, right, when they try to advertise, for example, the charcoal face wash, or else like they tell what an outcome would look like, like acne free, or else oil free, like face wash like that. It comes on face. But if you look at brands which are in the space of simple, minimalistic, or else even though you look at the Forest Essentials or the Kama Ayurveda, they don't really promote an outcome.
Correct.
So it usually, like in the ultra luxury segment, it makes sense. But do you think if you don't bring awareness in the customer's mind about what the product is going to...
I think it's absolutely important. I think it's absolutely important for us as brands to tell customers exactly what they're going to get from using this product, which is what we're trying to do as a brand.
Okay.
And the other gap we realized was that a lot of people were like, we don't know what goes into the soap, like we see so many things going on, like we assume it's good. Like some brand is talking about some salicylic acid being good, so we're like hearing a lot about it and we're using it. So where got Saka into the picture was really that we wanted this product to have very minimal ingredients. So our products have ingredients that absolutely do what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
So an example of this would be, say for example, dry shampoo powder. The use case of a dry shampoo powder, or the problem it solves, is your scalp is too oily, you don't have the time to have a shower right now, and I would like to use something which doesn't make my hair look oily. That is the use case of that particular product. Typically, the dry shampoos in the market have anywhere between 9 to 12 ingredients involved. Obviously, I'm sure each of them have their own analysis of why it's done. For us, we have only 2 ingredients. One is arrowroot powder, and the other is cacao root powder. Root powder, which is essentially like the seed of the chocolate.
Okay. I have no idea about it, so I'm just thinking.
So essentially, each of them do a job. So the arrowroot powder absorbs all the scalp, and because we are catering to an Indian skin type that has brown to black hair, we needed that cacao root powder because it's brown and it
got it.
blends into
blends
your hair.
it.
So all our products at Saka have a maximum of 6 ingredients at max, all of which are plant-based. Actually, 99% of which are plant-based. So those are the 2 factors of Saka. One is we're entirely plant-based. Number is very minimal ingredients. Number 3 is we realize that a lot of people, see, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to make a lifestyle shift. Someone who's using a Samsung wants to move into an Apple. Someone who's using, XYZ wants to move into a better product. And it's the same with all segments, be it skincare, be it electronics, be it clothes, whatever it is, be it fashion, whatever it is. So, unfortunately, in India, you have big brands in the mass premium segment, and you have massive brands in the luxury space. There are not enough, and like when I was explaining, I was thinking twice about what the premium brands are, and that's where we want Saka to be.
Got it.
That shift from a mass premium to a luxury is massive jump.
Makes sense.
So we want to make that easier. We want to be in that affordable premium space where we're selling a soap at about 190 to 200 rupees. We are expensive. I'm not saying 190 rupees is cheap, but at the same time, this is a product that this is an audience that we're looking at who's willing to spend that 20-30 bucks extra for a very good valued product.
Got it. And
So that's what we're looking at.
and if you look at the categories
So again,
also,
affordable is one aspect of Saka. Every product you see at Saka is very affordable as opposed to the other brands in the market right now.
and if you look at the categories, right, like the Saka has, like, because the first time when I looked at the shampoo bars or the conditioner powders, I usually know the conditioner because they're much in the paste or the liquid form. But when I look at your brand, you do sell like the powder format.
Yeah, so for us, we have 3 different ranges: hair care, skin care, and oral care. They come in 3 different forms:
Okay.
powders, liquids, and bars. All
Okay.
of them. So this actually is interesting because this again we got from a lot of field work. And in fact a lot of our stalls also, right? Because I'd have a lot of these young people come and say, hey, like your soap smells so cool, but like I use a shower gel.
Okay.
And I was like, sure, like if see, at the end of the day at Saka, we want to promote being able to live a more sustainable lifestyle, and I'll come to why I'm using the word sustainable. And I want to do that across age groups.
Got it.
Right? So the reason we got in different forms is because it caters to 3 very different target audiences.
Okay.
So usually liquids cater to someone between, say, an 18 to like 25.
Okay.
25 to about 40 is where all your bars are used, and 40 plus is where bars are used, or they're also experimental with powders.
Okay.
So that's coming from a lot of fieldwork, and it's all of them. So example, right? Like shampoo, you were saying, shampoo bar, liquid shampoo, shampoo powder do the same thing.
Yeah,
They are
because
just 3 different forms of the same.
yeah, because
product.
what the thing was, when you have to take a decision, like for example, you have 3 different forms. Right? There's oral care, health care. Oral, hair, and skin. And when I saw it in oral care, there was also toothpaste tablets.
Correct.
And it was the first time I discovered, because usually it's the gums, right?
Correct.
So was there like a conscious decision of you want to be in that?
100%. See, at the end of the day, we want our brand to have the least carbon footprint that we can.
Okay.
There's a very interesting problem that toothpaste tablets solve. Typically, your toothpaste gels come in plastic tubes.
Okay.
The number of plastic tubes you dispose a year is an average of 12 per person. Also, the gel has all kinds of ingredients that are not very good for you or the planet. Now, the toothpaste tablets solve essentially these two things, right? One is they come, all our packaging is mindful and it's eco-friendly. It's either glass or paper. They come in a glass jar, and it's again made out of tooth powder. Your toothpaste tablets are made out of tooth powder.
Okay. And are people
plant-based.
that value conscious right now?
Value in what sense? Like
Value in the
monetary
sense.
value?
No, when I say value, it really means that are people right now in India have that consciousness that the products that they are using, how much is it contributing to the environment? Are they?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I hope people are moving towards being more mindful. It's honestly very scary to even look at half the numbers about where the world is moving right now in terms of this. But yes, I do think there is a wide number of people who are increasingly getting more conscious of the waste that they generate as people. And that being put aside, this is kind of our effort to do that, right? Because suppose you were using a toothpaste gel and now you're using Saka's toothpaste tablets. Whether you know it or not, you have decreased that one toothpaste.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah.
Which essentially
it's more about the kind of impact and the kind of values that you stand for, right? And considering you do want to build more like a legacy brand, it definitely means
this is a brand where we're talking about impact on people as well as impact on the planet. And impact on people again can be categorized into multiple things. Impact on the kind of people who are making your products is number one. Number two, impact on people is also the kind of impact these products are having on your skin.
Got it.
I want to explain the word sustainable, which I use then.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the kind of sustained efficacy of the product on people.
Okay.
So suppose I use a hair oil, right? I'm not talking about the impact or what that hair oil does to your hair right now. I'm telling you that you are using a product that even after 10 years, you're still able to see the impact.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to circle back to the example of the dry shampoo powder.
Yeah.
A lot of people sell it, or a lot of brands sell it in the form of a spray.
Yeah.
Now, immediately it does the job. It sucks out all the oil, or it absorbs the oil on your scalp. But unfortunately, these sprays, they use chemicals that in the long run, they lead to hair fall.
Got it.
Right? So I'm talking about sustained impact on that front. Like you might be using a dry shampoo from Saka now, but it's not going to have an after effect, say 5 years down the line. In fact, it's going to help the case because all of ours are plant-based ingredients.
Makes sense. And
so that is the use of sustainable anywhere we use it in Saka. I'm not using sustainable from the viewpoint of organic or any of those other meanings.
And like I know for a fact that there's a very huge market in the West in regards of looking at a product like this, and with the values that you are taking forward, that is making sure that the carbon footprint is not left, making sure that there is a longer impact in regards of sustainable living. So are you looking forward to raise any funds or like funding, or like are you interested?
No.
So how are you planning to scale it? Like are there any plans to go abroad?
Yeah, eventually. Obviously, it's part of our 5-year plan and things like that. Right now, there's so much going on in Saka. Honestly, right now, I'll start with the sales channels that we have. We have 6 main sales channels for Saka.
When did you build six sales channel?
Yeah, it's been there for a while.
How do you hire? Like, what's like? Do you go to the colleges, or like is it just like casual?
No, so first I'll just explain the scaling model and then how we got into this whole scaling model as well. One is we have a B2B sales channel, and we also have a B2C channel. Under B2B, we have Horeca, which is hotels, restaurants, and catering, where hotels and eco resorts, we supply to a lot of them, where we, the soaps and the shampoos, all the samples in the bathroom, we do that stuff. We also supply in bulk, suppose like they need cleaning detergents or they need hand washes in bulk. So we do that for a lot of eco resorts and hotels, which is a very big part of, a very big chunk of the entire sales of B2B. Number 2 is white labeling. We don't take this up as much, but we take it up as and when required. We manufacture in bulk for other brands. Usually either it's GTMT or like again you can also categorize this into Horeca sometimes.
Got it.
Number 3 is corporate gifting. We partner with multiple organizations, both big and small, to cater to their employee gifting needs for Diwali, New Year, or any other occasion. So that is also a very big chunk of our B2B.
Wow. So do you think the sales channels, like this, people would go to the restaurants or people would go to the corporates, the reason it worked out is because the only North Star is your product?
I would hope so, because I think at the end of the day, how much ever marketing you do, I think the product is what sells. So I hope the product is selling as opposed to any other marketing things around it. But I think soon enough I realized that now it's also time to like get in the marketing very strong. That's when we rebranded. Now if you see, the labels are very colorful, they have a very they have a certain style. The illustration is essentially of the ingredients that go into the product. So essentially I think we started focusing on marketing this year. This financial year was when we really focused on marketing. Labels, the entire branding, the logo has changed, all of that has changed. Now we do a lot of influencer content. We also now our social media is picking up.
Finally. I mean, I think you never
we
paid
run a few
attention.
ads here and there, all of that stuff. So marketing is something that we focused on this year for sure. But I think up till now the game was solely sales.
Got it.
Now I'm trying to get that marketing and sales to balance finally.
And how big, I mean, apart from you, how big is your sales team?
Okay, so now we're actually building the teams all over again. Now we're also moving into a new manufacturing factory next month. So that's
wonderful. You already have one. There's another one opening up.
Yeah, so we were working out of an old farmhouse. Now we're moving into a proper factory which is FDA approved.
Okay.
So that comes with its own challenges of like having your own lab, having all of that stuff. So operations and manufacturing is one bit of this whole scaling game. The other part was the whole marketing sales teams, to get them in place, a few. So lucky for me, my mentor at IIM is also on board now. So she really handholds everyone on the team. Now we're also building sales teams. So like also my sales guys are now, heads are now slowly working on Saka. They have about 18 years of experience in the market, all of that stuff. So, and we're also moving into a new office next week. So that's exciting.
So, because the thing is, whenever you're trying to build a brand, right, obviously there would be a question, especially you, when you're getting these folks for 18 years or 8-year experience in it, and you are, what, now 20 to 23?
22.
22. Yeah. How do you convince them that...
it's hard. I think the most challenging part of my job role at Saka is hiring.
Yeah.
It is, I'm telling you, it's taken me 8 months to hire a decent team.
What questions do you even ask?
No, so lucky for me, I have mentors who do that work for me.
Okay.
Aarti, like I was saying, she takes every single interview at Saka.
Okay.
And she's thrice my age. But
do you think in India it's actually kind of like a deal when you're trying, when you're very young? Because I remember, like, I'm 24.
I'll tell you what, I didn't think it was hard until I got into it the last 6 months.
Okay.
And I've also realized how hard it is to be a woman founder hiring.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of challenges the past 6 months in that sphere. But to keep that aside, I think hiring is is the hardest task. But lucky, again, I feel like at somewhere it's all worked out because of the wider mission and vision that we have for Saka.
Yeah.
Also the product, also the sales numbers. So I think once they also hear and see all of this, and they also know the whole manufacturing side of things, I think they understand that this is a serious brand, and they also start to believe in the brand.
Got it.
And believe in the brand doing well in the market. So, but hiring is hard. Hiring in Hyderabad, might I add, is very hard.
What do you think is missing in Hyderabad? What does Hyderabad needs? Like, because see,
The kind of talent that I want to hire is very difficult. So from my little experience, I think Hyderabad has a lot of SaaS, AI, tech talent. I'm looking for like hardcore D2C marketing roles, or like I'm looking at FMCG sales roles. I'm also typically looking at creative designing roles. These are not abundantly available in Hyderabad.
True.
Right? So anyways, anyone who's watching this podcast and is interested to work with us, please come work with us. But yes, it is very hard to work for the roles that I want to be hiring for. And for us, I think everyone that we've hired at Saka has moved from Bangalore, Delhi or Mumbai to come join us on the team.
Damn it.
So it's been twice as hard than normal hiring for me to really get this team.
Is it so
together.
hard to just go on LinkedIn and see what other brands, for example, go to a Rare Rabbit or a Neiman's, or see what their category managers are doing, or a Myntra, and then just message them and get them in?
Yeah, but how efficient is that? And why would they move from, say, an MNC to Saka that nobody's heard of? There's not enough. See, you either come through a referral, or you come to something like that to believe in a brand.
Got it.
Or you come to like an HR agency who's selling a brand for you. It's very difficult. Again, like I'm saying, someone young, someone who's, a woman, someone who's young, it's extremely hard to hire in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad, might I add. It's a little easier in other places because now I have a lot of other marketing people in Bangalore, and I've hired them fairly easily.
Is it the skill? Like the point is the people are
No,
not...
I think the talent that Hyderabad has gone out of Hyderabad.
Okay, got it. It's more... do you think it's the pay problem?
I don't know. We pay very well at Saka. I don't know. But see, like the other day, I was in Delhi and I was at the airport, and I was just talking to someone at the lounge. That person is from Hyderabad, been living in Delhi the past 12 years, is a marketing head at a very good company that's also done very well, that 0 to 10, stage. And I said, so why are you not working in Hyderabad? And he said, very simply, there's no opportunity to grow in Hyderabad. It's a very laid back culture. Nobody's hustling. And that drive to do better is not there in Hyderabad. And I could not agree less, to be honest. So a lot of good talent I know in Hyderabad, or in general, has moved away to Bangalore, to Delhi, to like the US, to like so many other places. There's not enough of it staying back here.
Got it.
So for brands like us who are based in Hyderabad, it's very hard.
Makes sense.
We tend to hire from other places.
Yeah. What I have personally have observed with Hyderabad is that, especially because we are trying to run studio, right? And the main objective of our studio is to collaborate with brands and the founders. And every time we need to hire someone, something that a lot of people lack is in regards of an aspect of taste and exposure.
Sure.
So you have to... It's not possible to teach people a lot of things like this because it's something very innate. It's something very creative.
Sure.
You can teach a person how to sell it by giving them a script, but you can't make them be spontaneous when a question comes to them.
Yeah.
And I feel Hyderabad universities or colleges have created a system where it is very much of a question and answer basis. They are taught... they kept an institute where rule book was
also like that. I went to college in Delhi. It was very much like that. But I think why there is a talent acquisition problem in Hyderabad is also because the lack of universities or higher education institutes in Hyderabad.
There is Osmania, there is ICFI.
There are some, but unfortunately they don't fall under the roles that we want to hire for.
Got it.
Like you have a BITS in Hyderabad, you have a Triple IT, you have all of these places, but these places have very good talent for tech, have very good talent for product design, they have a very good talent for AI, SaaS. they don't like this whole marketing is very hard in Hyderabad. Sales is still, see again, I am looking at someone with say 18-20 years of FMCG experience. There are not many FMCG companies in Hyderabad to begin with.
Got it.
Most of your HULs, most of your bigger organizations, their head offices are not in Hyderabad.
Got it.
But your Cognizant, your Wipros, your Infosys, your Amazon, your Microsoft, everything's in Hyderabad.
Got
which
it.
is why that talent is here.
Okay.
So I'm not saying Hyderabad doesn't have talent. It has talent. You want tech, like
Yeah.
there are like 20 of them standing there. I'm saying the roles I want to hire is very hard.
Got it. And when a
Like you
particular...
don't have an ID in Hyderabad.
True. Yeah.
So where is your good design people? Where are they going? Right? So that's what I'm talking about.
Makes sense. And why does, like, for example, FMCG, like you told about when you want to hire someone with experience, is it because that experience folk will also bring in the reference or the referrals, or in the things starts getting easier, or else why is something that a brand concentrate too much on the experience side of things?
I don't know about brands. The reason I am focusing is because I don't have that experience. I need someone with that experience to come and implement it at Saka.
Okay.
See, I don't come with a science background, so I don't help in that formulation stage. I don't come with a sales or an FMCG background, so I can't help with sales. I have a very basic management degree. I have dropped sciences back in 10th grade. So I need someone with domain and industry experience to come and scale this brand.
Got it.
That's my intent. I'm not. It's not about HUL. It's not about the names. I don't care. If you're someone who knows how to scale this product, then please come work with us.
Yeah.
That is my mentality. I don't want to be wasting time and learning and then implementing.
Got it. And
because I think there's enough number of people who've done it who know how to do it well also.
And why, when you're trying to take a decision with them, there is an 18-year-old person with an FMCG experience. There is a 10-year-old person with a marketing or a sales knowledge. When all these people come, they do come with their own biases.
Yeah.
And how do you take a decision that this particular input that this particular person has given is good enough for Saka, and this can get the money in, that is to sell more
Very
products?
simple. Like whatever decision you take, it has to lead to a target or it has to lead to the vision of the organization.
Okay.
Anything that is deviating from either of these two is not appreciated.
Got it.
Is an idea. It is not being implemented. It's not being taken into that implementation stage at all.
And how...
You can be whatever you are, man. At the end of the day, if it's not leading to what you want to do as a brand, then it does not matter.
Got it. And how do you make sure that people take you seriously when you're trying to go out there and sell?
See, once people have come into the organization, we have a culture at Saka. Now we also have an office and all of that, right? It's set in a certain framework. People come at a certain time. We have certain meetings during certain times of the week, review meetings, this and that. People are answerable. People are responsible for certain roles. So once you're in the community of Saka, then it's a very different game. Nobody's looking at experience. Everyone's working towards reaching or really getting the vision and the mission of the brand out.
Got it.
It's no longer about ego. It's not about how many years of experience. Once you're in, you're working towards the same thing. Doesn't matter who is working in what way.
Got it. And apart from all these things, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun?
I guess enough of the business gyan out of enough of the history.
I play the piano.
Okay.
So that's something I really enjoy doing. Yeah.
Don't you have something more like, see, playing piano, doing a business, all these things are still an activity which is way more, it takes effort.
Okay.
Like something more like leisure. I don't have to keep any effort, stuff like that.
Yeah, but for me, like playing the piano is not effort, no? Technically. It's something I've been doing since I was in 2nd grade. So,
So like there was...
it's something I genuinely enjoy doing every day.
Like you don't have things like eating junk, watching just a movie and just
I
go
do
out
all
partying.
of that, but like it's just like it's still there. I mean, it's not like a fun activity as such.
Okay, so your day is not really like planned that way. It's just before one day you'll get to know what is going to happen and how it is.
No, so we have certain like things that are happening every week, like all our meetings and all I'm talking about. Then we have set activities like certain workshops, certain other things. Like there's always something going on at Saka.
Got it.
Something I forgot to tell you about is in between we started doing a bunch of workshops. Which was another revenue stream back then.
Oh.
Sales stream back when we were scaling, I think a year back. So we do a lot of employee engagement workshops at like DE Shaw and HCL and a lot of these bigger organizations. Then we do a lot of fun soap making workshops at like cafes and things, which was a solid revenue stream for Saka.
Oh.
The way we thought about it is typically someone who's working at a D shop is the correct target audience for Saka.
Perfect. And
So
how
we
did you
go-
reach out to the D-Shop people?
Through people I knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was more like you understood there was a target audience at that
So see,
particular
a
point?
lot of these companies, a lot of these MNCs do employee engagement every week, one day, some activity or the other. It's just some mindless activity. Can be soap making. It can be like
Got it. More like a
tasting
fun
wine.
show.
It can be like anything under the sky. Sometimes I think they watch a movie together. So they have 1 hour dedicated for employee engagement, especially post COVID. So we kind of hopped onto that bandwagon. We do some at WeWork. So at WeWork, they have about 3 activities every week.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's move to most like the final segment of the podcast, because I guess we
Yeah.
got a very good story of Saka
Okay.
and also how to build a brand. Because initially, for me at least, when I was thinking to build like it can be a beauty or it can be any lifestyle brand.
Sure.
My mindset was more like, hey, you need to have some certain like a lab degree or something to understand the formulation. But talking to you, I understood for a fact that there will be a core of the product that every person has to follow, the core values.
Yeah.
As per the core values, you will understand what to outsource and what not to
Correct.
outsource.
Yeah.
And the final round, let's make it more like considering we are a studio and we try to understand brand in regards of how they want to position them digitally.
Okay.
So, for example, if any person, especially you, trying to build Saka, right? So, is there a conscious choice that you don't want to keep a lot of posts or the reels on your Instagram account?
No, we just want to be as authentic as we can. Us as a brand, again, that's talking about, and I think one aspect that I completely missed, got carried away, is the fact that we control the entire supply chain.
Okay.
All the way from sourcing till the final product. So we partner with a bunch of local farmers. We partner with local cooperatives, and we partner with local stores to get in all our ingredients. So for example, there's a certain tribal community near Araku, which is near Vizag, where we source beeswax from, because that is one of the only regions that actually extracts pure beeswax.
Wow.
We have a tie-up with like this local guy around Kakinada for coconut oil. So for every ingredient, also we use very few ingredients, like I said, we source it
Got it.
from the root. And we also do a bunch of like soil tests to make sure that these guys are not using any kind of harmful chemicals, because getting it from a local guy is very different from getting a product which has been grown in a certain way. So that is one. And again, then we have a FDA manufacturing unit, so like it's taken care of, then packaging product, and we have a lot of
And when you're trying to get these sources, right, like it can be like identifying these farmers or from different places, because you're from Hyderabad, you've been in Kakinada because of your dad's factory, you would know people around. But if you...
So I have an ops head there.
Okay.
I have an operations head. See, all like everything that we do at Saka, right? We have people who are helping implement that. But
Got
at the same time, we have very standard SOPs, especially when it comes to manufacturing.
Got it.
Suppose I'm getting 50 liters of coconut oil from someone. I'm not just sourcing it the way it is. I'm getting it. Then we have an entire quality department that sits and makes sure the color is the same. So every batch there is consistency of ingredient, because at the end of the day, for a personal care product to be good, what it boils down to the quality of the ingredient. Beat it.
Got it. Makes
Like,
sense.
and we're so transparent about our products, it's insane. Like, we literally have the percentage of every ingredient. And someone was recently asking me, like, if you're being so transparent, do you think somebody else can literally make it? I said it's very simple. You can have the recipe. In fact, we would teach people at a soap making workshop how to make soap that we used to make.
Yeah.
Now, what is the differentiating factor is the quality of the ingredient which is going in, and we have a very good hold of that.
Makes sense.
Having that manufacturing unit, having that sourcing aspect, having that really solid quality department is what overpowers all of your marketing and sale. Like the product is being focused on as opposed to anything else. Everything else is just to sell it.
Got it.
Everything else is just a communication of the brand, not even to sell. Like my labels, the ingredients, the illustrations are all just a communication of the values of what we want to be, of where we want to position the brand. At the end of the day, it's the product and just the product which is going to sell.
That's interesting. So if I have to summarize the whole podcast in one, and if someone is going to start their own brand or anything, is that it can be anyone. What output that they give is important, and the outcome that it can produce. If it is good enough, it will speak for itself.
Yeah.
If you end up giving some shitty output, you won't scale.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. You will just end up in some average market.
If you have a crappy product and really good marketing, it will only take you to a certain extent.
That's true.
After some time, you can't be talking about scale in that sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And especially in our segment, it's all about repeatability of sale.
That's true.
So if you use a soap once and you don't like it and you're not back to buying a soap from us, then we've lost it.
Yeah, makes sense. And I feel, considering the fact that it is also a category where if someone likes it, they would also recommend more.
Sure.
They would gift it more.
Yeah, word of mouth marketing is the only marketing I want to do at Saka. Leave out everything. Leave out social media. Leave out Instagram. Leave out anything you want. Like word of mouth is what works best.
Yeah.
But circling back to what you've asked, I think our Instagram, we'd like to be as authentic as we can. So if you see a lot of our reels are the Akka speaking about working at the fields or like working at Saka. It's also about how the products are made. If you see the imagery on our website, it's very relatable. It is product on your skin.
True.
You won't have like models with makeup. It's literally soap on a bare skin. And we're very authentic about it. We're very authentic about the ingredients we use. You'll never find a strawberry soap in Saka. All of us are very earthy, eucalyptus, turmeric, charcoal, mint. All these are like very locally sourced flavors. So we're not that brand who's talking about sourcing roses from Switzerland and this and that. I'm sure it works for a lot of brands, but the concept of Saka is very different.
Makes sense. And thanks a lot for doing this.
Thank you.
After, I guess, like this is the 5th month. After I asked you, the 5th month we made it possible. Like I guess it was so many postpones. We finally did it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.